Finally, we get to watch Wemby in action. What are we going to expect from him tonight?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I am your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for KENS 5 San Antonio. I am glad to have you back. You made the right choice. Checking it out here on Locked On Spurs, your Spurs podcast, video show, everything, every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Find us on YouTube, pick a platform, we are there. So, hey, what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to be taking a look back at the Cali Classic, some takeaways from those couple of games. There were a few things that I think we need to discuss before talking about the big show. That's tonight. Wembanyama makes his summer league debut. I think the entire world is anticipating tonight's game. We're going to dive into what to expect from him, what we'd like to see out of him, and so much more. And hopefully our guest doesn't slap me. You know what I'm talking about, right? Wemby, Britney Spears. Yeah, we're going to get into that shortly right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we bring in our guest, just want to chat with you about tonight's Spurs Wemby game. Yeah, I know everybody's excited. You're excited. I'm excited. Our guest, he's probably excited too when we bring him on. But yeah, you may have to kind of pump the brakes in either direction. If he balls out and has an incredible game and drops some massive numbers, still want to pump the brakes a bit. Okay, fine. This is a good start for him. If he wets the bed and doesn't play well, might want to pump the brakes too and don't start labeling him a bust and he's nothing. And oh my God, he played like that against the summer league, talent. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the rock of the hard place that Wemby is at right now. He's coming in with labels such as generational and the next coming, and he's all this, all that, and oh my God, the Spurs, they got themselves one heck of a player that only comes around every once so often. That's a lot for him. But we got to remember, he's still 19 years old. We got to remember, this is going to be his first foray into American-style basketball. I know a lot of people say that it's a little easier than FIBA, but nevertheless, he's still going to have an adjustment period. And it's kind of unfair, too, to have him compare his debut to past Spurs greats like Robinson and Duncan. Duncan in particular, we all know Duncan's rookie season, he came into a very veteran-laden, stacked Spurs team. Wemby is not coming into that. He's coming into it's an okay team, young, very young. And speaking of young, this is how young the team is. We still got Wemby, 19 years old. Malachi and Wesley just turned 20. You have Keldon Johnson, 23. Devin Vassell, 23. You also got another teenager, Sidi Sissoko, on the roster. I mean, the list goes on and on, just how young this team is. So yeah, he's going to have his learning curves. He's going to have his bumps around the, the bend. He's going to have all the ups and downs of a rookie. But that label that stuck on him, generational, the pressure of the city of San Antonio, the Spurs, the NBA, the country of France, himself, his camp, his family, is going to a lot riding on their shoulders. So as we get ready for tonight's big game, and I know you're going to be tuning in just as much as I am, you want to just temper yourself. Just make sure that you don't jump the boat in either direction. Obviously, I do want him to have a good game. I hope he has a good game. But just an example, look at Brendan Miller right now. 2 games in the Cali Classic. This is the number 2 pick. Not looking good. And he's already getting some eyebrows raised. That could happen to Wemby tonight. And let's put things in perspective. Tim Duncan, his summer league is one to forget. You don't want to go back and look at this. Big Country Bryant Reeves made him look silly in the summer league back when Timmy was a rookie. But you pump the brakes and look what happened. He's now a Hall of Famer, multiple title holder. So yeah, lots riding on his shoulders tonight, and it begins in Las Vegas with the Summer Spurs. So let's go ahead and bring in our guest. He is my good friend. He is Vinnie Vinzetta of KENS 5 TV. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at @VVinzetta. You see his Twitter handle down there. One thing for sure, I put all the pressure though on Vinny because he's generational Locked On Spurs guest. That's how stacked this is. Vinny?
Hey, listen, I touched up my hair and makeup since I'm video with you for the first time. So I've got my A game. I'm ready for this, brother.
All right. Well, welcome back to Locked On. By the way, happy belated birthday. I know I said happy birthday on your day of, but it's been a while since you've been on. So happy birthday from Locked On Spurs to you, Vinny.
It's the milestone, number 50, and I still feel young. That's the key, right? As long as you still feel young. So rock on.
That's good. That's good. Well, again, happy birthday. I'll be in San Antonio soon. I'll buy you a beer. So, before we go on, make sure to follow Vinny on Twitter at Vinzetta. And he is the sports anchor. He holds it down on the sports desk and gives you all San Antonio sports. He'll talk about that later on this show. So, Vinny, before we talk about tonight's big game, let's take a look back at the Cali Classic. Kind of, I don't want to say let down, but Wemby didn't play. So, you kind of tuned in, kind of tuned out. Everybody's waiting for tonight's game. But I think the first big takeaway is, have the Spurs found their perimeter threat in Champagnie? He really stood out, didn't he?
I mean, I want to qualify it like you did, Jeff, that it is summer league in the end, and what happens in July is not what happens between the lines in October and mid-April in an NBA regular season. But he put the Wemby story aside and said, I'm going to make this about me. I mean, I was impressed with his attitude, aggression, just going out there and saying, I'm going to own this basketball game. I'm going to take it to the Charlotte Hornets and the LA Lakers. And he was really, really impressive. And I think he kind of said in his own mental abstract way, hey, Brian Wright, hey, Pop, look at me. I've got something. And he went out there. He went out there and showed out. Highly impressive. And to me, he looks like he belongs over the course of 82 for sure.
Yeah, no, this reminds me of when the Spurs found their gem in the Summer League. Bryn Forbes, I believe Gary Neal was another Summer League find. So that's what it reminds me of. And I'm glad that Champagnie definitely is showing out, because that's the biggest, hole the Spurs had last season, was they just couldn't knock down an outside shot. But if you're 3-line, a deep 2, mid-range shot, they just struggled to find the perimeter shot going. And with Champagnie, he can address that. And so, again, also, too, they gave him a contract, a very team-friendly one, too. Was it like 4 for 12? So I like how he performed, but you're right. You got to still couch it that it is Summer League. We'll see how he does in preseason, training camp, whatnot. But I think the Spurs got themselves a gem. And he showed out a little bit towards the end of the last season. He had a great game versus Dallas in the final game. Really put it on some teams to close out the season. So I'm not too surprised he showed out. But at the same time, I am glad he is, because the Spurs need perimeter help desperately. Well, what else stood out for you from the Cali Classic?
I mean, Mr. Barlow was good. I was impressed with his effort. Again, you can't say enough good things about Champagnie. And I just thought, as usual, more often than not, the Spurs Summer League team looked like a well-oiled machine. I mean, they looked like they knew what they were doing. They made the Hornets look bad. I mean, Charlotte was lost in that game. So, I mean, mission accomplished. They go out to Sacktown without Wemby, go 2-0, and that's exactly what they wanted to do. And they see some great things from people not named Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, you're right. You brought up a good point. You forgot that Wemby was on the team because of how well the Spurs were playing out in Sacramento. I mean, just really taking it to it, even against the Lakers. Sure, they took their foot off the gas pedal, but then, they really pounded them to close out that game and to control back. Sidi Sissoko, didn't really do much offensively, but are you sure he wasn't the number 2 pick? Because he shut down Brandon Miller in that Charlotte game, really frustrated him. If defense is what the Spurs and Popovich like, he has it so far. Vinny, your thoughts? I think that he's a guy who knows that on this Spurs team, that's a role he'll need to play. I mean, I think he gets that. And he said as much by saying, this is where I want to be. And I really respect and admire guys that can come into a program and kind of know what their need is and who they need to be. So, like him a lot. I mean, does he have every physical attribute of every other player? No. But he uses the skills that he does have to his advantage, and he knows how to, at least so far in Summer League, make his initial mark, and we'll see how that can translate to the highest level.
Blake Wesley and Malachi Branham really played out in that last game in Sacramento. Branham looked like he may have taken a next step in his development. really showing he can score from anywhere on the court. Long two, getting to the rim, attacking that rim as well. Blake Wesley, same thing, attacking that rim, had a phenomenal dunk out in California. And, you still with Blake Wesley, for me, I think he still needs to understand pace a bit. He tends to play just at one speed and full on out. But I like their development, at least in one game, I think. Well, one game from Branham and 2 games for Wesley. So, I think they're coming along well. I'd like to see more out of them for the Vegas Summer League, which we'll get into in just a few minutes. But your thoughts on the pair of young Spurs?
Yeah, let me start with Branham. I mean, you remember the legendary Lou Williams, who just recently retired, I think. He was always known as a professional scorer. Right. I'm far from the expert, but when I think of Malachi, I think of a Lou Williams type who will become, in this league, a professional scorer. He'll be able to score inside and out. He can finish. He can hit those perimeter jumpers. Right. Really, really like him a lot. And I'm kind of with you that Wesley is maybe still a step behind, right. But that dates back to not having enough time so far with the Spurs regular season organization. So he'll have to take some more steps. But I think we have 2 guys that are really waiting to explode and take their next steps. And as much as I do like Wesley, I will not hold back, and I won't lie to you. I'm really excited to see how far Malachi Branham can go this season. He looks to be on the verge to me.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'll definitely get to see how they play now with their new teammate, Victor Wembanyama, tonight in Las Vegas. That's what we're going to do when we get back. We're going to talk about tonight's big game, Wemby's debut. What do we expect from him? What should we be looking out for? And so much more right here on Locked On Spurs with my colleague at Ken's 5. He is Vinnie Vinzetta. But before we do all that, I want to talk to you about BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Look, navigating through life can be difficult, but if you're looking for therapy, you definitely want to try BetterHelp. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. That's what I like about it. Very user-friendly, very schedule-friendly. That's why you got to try BetterHelp. What you do is you just fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. And then you have the ability to switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Look, whether you're dealing with issues regarding your career, or just life, just having to navigate life, that's why you got to try BetterHelp. It makes things easier for you the more you practice the techniques that you'll learn with BetterHelp. Once again, visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA.
Autobots, roll out.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with my colleague at Ken's 5. He is Vinnie Vinzetta, the big dog, or the Vin Dog as we call him.
There you go.
Make sure to follow him on Twitter at VVinzetta. You see it on your screen. Make sure you do that right now. We're talking about the game, the big game. Everybody's excited for a Summer League game, a sold-out Summer League game. On the secondary market, tickets on the high end go for over $1,000 for tonight's game. If you want to sit in the cheap seats on the secondary market, you can get yourself a ticket for just, $160, $170. That's all. Vinny just had a birthday. He has a birthday money to spend. So maybe he can buy you a center court ticket over $1,000, Vinny. I would appreciate
all of my birthday money in one fell swoop.
In one fell swoop. So tonight is the night, Vinny, the game that everybody's been waiting for, Wemby's Summer League debut. Woo, here we go, Vinny. I'll let you start off. You're the guest. What are you expecting from the Spurs' #1 pick tonight?
I don't know, Jeff. I think everything might be in play. I mean, could it be a little bit of a feel-out game for him? Yes. I also think that some of the things that he did over in France, he just might pick back up and keep on trucking and show his skills and his skill set and his game. And I mean, just because I think the Thomas and Mack Center, the arena is going to be sold out, he better show up and show out, because everybody is going to come want to see him play there in the Vegas area. In fact, I'm not surprised this game is not like live on network television, because there seems to be so much hype and so much interest. But I guess what I'm curious about is, this is the first time since his French playing days that we now have some pressure
Sure.
versus nerves versus hype all at the same time. And how might he embrace that and accept and endure that? Because all of this stuff that's on his shoulders, that's been building and already put on his shoulders. And Coach Pop said on draft night that he thinks he's handled all that well. But I think now tonight it all comes crashing down on top of him. So I'll be really curious how he handles all that. I mean, look, by far, he has more talent than anybody in this summer league. So what level will we see that? And I guess if I had to give you an answer, I'm going to tell you that we're going to see the skill set we've heard so much about.
Yeah, know what I'm expecting? I want to see just how big that target is on his back. I want to see it. He's going to be going up against guys that do not give a you-know-what, that he was a number one pick and he's all this and all that, according to prognosticators about his career. These guys that he's going to be facing against are hungry for an NBA contract, an NBA job. So they're going to want to show out versus the number one pick. I want to see how Wembanyama handles that type of target on his back. Sure, maybe it's not as big as it's going to be once he reaches the first regular season game or goes up against a guy that has, wants to show out against him. But I want to see that type of ability. Does he have that, that wherewithal to say, okay, bring it, guy who, wants an NBA job and wants to get one on me and break my ankles, knock on wood, not literally, but, crossing over, stuff like that. So I want to see how he handles that. Also, thing I want to check out too in Wemby's debut is, his ability to get teammates involved. We know what he could do individually, but I want to know how he's going to facilitate. Is he a good passer out of the post? That was kind of one of the cons heading into the draft on his pro cons list was he tends to telegraph a lot of his passes out of the post. I want to see if that's gotten better or if that's going to be an issue for him moving in his career. But I mean, Vinny, anything else that we should be keeping an eye out tonight with Wemby?
Well, I mean, Jeff, here's a guy that in sneakers is 7'5", and he's a stretch 5. So when you think about NBA spacing and his wingspan, his height, his length, I'm curious to see how all that looks. That's going to be interesting to see how teams defend him and how they make him in turn play defense. It's just going to be such a fascinating watch. It's so funny. We're talking about one of the most fascinating watches ever in NBA history, and it's a summer league game. I mean,
it's a summer league. Yeah,
it's insane. But I want to add one more thing too. He himself has talked so much about embracing wanting to be the best. And he's wearing jersey number 1. So when you were talking about the chip that other guys are going to have on their shoulders to come after him, I think, or I expect that he will absorb all that because he's talked about wanting to be that guy that goes next level. And there's a reason he wants to wear jersey number 1 and he wants to be the best. So I guess from that philosophical standpoint, I expect him to show really good things in this game.
Yeah, and you look at the other end of the court too, and that's I believe he's going against Charlotte, so Brandon Miller. So, yeah, is Brandon Miller going to want to erase that 2 games in Sacramento and have a game versus Wemby? I think I'm expecting that to happen. Brandon Miller really trying to say, "Hey, you're the number 1 pick. I was the number 2 pick. Let me show you why I should have gone number 1."
Well, it's being billed as that. It's being billed as that, number 1 versus number 2. So yeah, it's big. It's big time.
Yeah, it's big time. Yeah, so I definitely want to see that. I expect Wemby to really up his game. And look, it seems to me that he will up the game based on the very small sample size of when Wembanyama played against Scoot Henderson in that exhibition game that was televised everywhere. Scoot had himself a phenomenal game. So did Wemby. So it seems to me he can raise his level of the game. On the stage and the setting and what it is. And tonight is definitely a big game. Another thing I'm expecting too is maybe not that much playing time. I mean, knowing the Spurs and their load management and getting him rest and whatnot. Look, he sat out the Sacramento games. He's not going to go play for Team France in August. I mean, should we expect the Spurs to really limit his minutes in a very well-anticipated game, Vinny?
That would be so the Spurs way. It would
God,
not surprise me one bit if he doesn't smell the floor in the third and fourth and plays his regulated minutes in the first and plays a little bit of the second quarter, and that's all we get. Wouldn't shock me one bit. I'm with you all the way on that. But yeah, fans should set their expectations now and try not to be disappointed if he's on the bench the majority of the game.
You know what? If you're the Spurs, you want to get the fan base really used to this. So, get them used to the idea of load management early for Wembanyama.
Start now,
just get it over with now. Just start it now. Rip the Band-Aid off the cut and start resting them. Yeah, it's a big game. It's going to be broadcasted on ESPN. It's sold out already. There was a little note passed on to me from another secondary market outlet, Vivid Seats. Vinny, check this out. Based on their sales, of tickets, the average fan that's going to game one of Wemby's, his debut, they're driving approximately 700 miles in to Vegas. That's the average mileage of driving in to check out his game. So,
if that doesn't tell you about the hype,
it doesn't. Wow. There's certainly a lot of hype surrounding Wembanyama's debut. Obviously, we will talk about it more on Locked On Spurs once it's over. Hopefully, the Spurs don't load manage him too much, so we have a decent amount of stuff to talk about. But nevertheless, I'm excited. Vinny's excited. We're all excited. So we'll be back here on Locked On Spurs to break it all down. But when we get back, we're going to talk about the slap. No, not the slap that Vinny gave me because I didn't give him a present on his actual birthday. But we're going to talk about the slap heard around the world. Yes, Wemby addressed it. Britney Spears got, reportedly, and according to her, she got hit up the side of the face by Spurs security. We're going to talk about that and much more right here on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
And we are back right here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. On Monday's show, we're going to have a lot of reaction to Wemby's debut out in Las Vegas and much, much more. And we are joined once again by Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Ken's 5 San Antonio. Follow him on Twitter at VVinzetta. Send him a late happy birthday message. I think he'll appreciate that. And I have to make it up because I don't want him to slap me, everybody. I don't want him to slap me.
You don't want that.
I don't want that. I don't want them hands on my face, everybody. So make sure you appease the Vin dog. We'll follow him on Twitter and, of course, wish him a happy birthday. Nevertheless, here we go, Vinny. The kids would say, Vinny, I didn't have this on my bingo card. I'm pretty sure you didn't have this on your bingo card. Waking up to headlines yesterday that Victor Wembanyama's Spurs security had an incident with pop star singer Britney Spears, where she rushed to him to get an autograph, and maybe it was a little too aggressive or what have you. Nevertheless, it was like Spurs security didn't take too kindly with that, and allegedly and reportedly backhanded her, dropped her a little bit. I think she said sunglasses fell off of her face. Spurs security did reportedly speak with her after everything was sorted out, realized it was Britney Spears. They apologized. But according to multiple outlets, a police report was filed. So we'll see about that. I mean, my goodness, putting that aside, Vinny, welcome to Wemby Mania. Is this what it's going to be like having a big time star in San Antonio? Or, is this kind of stuff we should anticipate?
I mean, it's like I was telling your good friend Casey Vieira, we could have come up with hundreds of scenarios for how Wemby's first night in Las Vegas would go. And this one would not have been in play. Just Twilight Zone stuff, man. I mean, almost no words. I mean, I would have picked just some standard Vegas goofball just walking by.
Right.
I would never have guessed a pop star or a has-been pop star, whatever she is these days, reaching out and grabbing Wemby's around his waist. I mean, for her to say that she tapped him on his shoulder, impossible. He's 7'5". She's 5'0". She could not have pulled that off. So bizarre story. I will say I expected over the course of the day for the Spurs organization to release a statement.
Yeah.
I found that a little bit strange. That did not happen. Victor himself came out to practice in Vegas, and he was initially asked at the top of the interview if he had a statement to make, and he said, "No, I don't. Just ask me some questions." And he answered, I think it was 2 questions, gave long answers about it. But just again, just bizarro world. I mean, if you go back to October of last year with the Primo situation, and now this Wemby situation, let's just get to some basketball games, please, because I think this is enough of really. I know a police report's been filed, but hopefully it's enough of a non-story that when we play a basketball game, that this is no longer a big story.
Yeah, and for me, it was more of, wow, this is how we're going to start his summer league career or his summer league games. With this, like, this is what I mean. I'm pretty sure the Spurs were like, this is the last thing we needed. On his summer league debut eve, to have his name in the papers. I don't know if they make papers anymore, Vinny, or names on online. For this, and you're right. About her tapping him on the shoulder. At least that's what she says. The only thing I thought of that maybe where she could reach if he was maybe bending down to sign autographs. But when I reread the reports, apparently he was exiting, so he was already walking. So I thought maybe he was in the motion of signing autographs, bending down, and let me get him, and then boom, she got smacked. But no, I think the report did say that he was still walking, and security was urging him to keep on walking, and that's when she tapped him on the shoulder, she says, and got smacked up. Yeah, and it's just a bad situation too, because the last thing you need is the Spurs representative, in this case, their security, hitting somebody. They like to have that squeaky clean, no waves off the court. And here we go, and let alone, they hit a woman. So it doesn't look good, Vinny. It's not optically, it's not good.
No, I mean, again, there's been a police report filed, and I think Britney put on her Instagram that it's not funny that Victor, she claims, and others in the group were laughing as she fell to the ground, and she hasn't yet received an apology, and she hopes that she will. So it is turned into full speed ahead. He said, she said, and that's the way these things with celebrities work. But I would have never ever envisioned this scenario. No. And the one thing I would tell Britney, hey, Britney, you reached up and tapped a person that's now a bigger celebrity than you. So take that.
Oh, hello. Look at Vin Dog biting back like that. You also got to wonder too, maybe, her publicist kind of is fluffing this up a little bit more, making it bigger than what it is, just to get her name back in.
It's celebrities. It's celebrity stuff, man. That happens.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
We got to see the way this will play out in the end, because again, it's he said, she said. They filed a report. The Wembanyama camp has made their statement. So even though it's not done and not going away, a basketball game will help kind of put this thing aside.
Yeah, it will. Yeah. So it's probably going to come up tonight during the broadcast. So brace yourself for that as well. But this is Vegas we're talking about, Vinny. There's cameras everywhere, every single corner, every single hotel, casino.
True.
Valet, light post, so there's got to be video of this. And I think once it gets released, perhaps that'll clear the air moving forward. But last thing I thought, this Britney Spears, Wembanyama, Spurs security smacked Britney. I just, what? That was my reaction. Like, huh? Like, what? But hey, welcome to Wemby fever. This is what it's going to be like right now. Everybody's going to be clamoring for him. So hopefully nobody will have to go through what Britney allegedly says that she went through. And we'll see how this works out. I hope not either. Yeah. But one thing I can assure you, everybody, if you do ask for Vinny's autograph, he will not do that. He will not do that.
Be very friendly and just hand me a magic marker and I'll sign away. All is good.
Yeah, see, simple as that. Yeah, and that's why you want to follow Vinny on Twitter at Vinzetta. Vinny, what is going on in your world? What is going on in San Antonio sports? What's cooking?
Nothing, brother. It's Summer League. It's Summer League Wemby, this highly anticipated debut tonight, and then the rest of Summer League. And really, that's the story until we get through Summer Spurs, and then all of a sudden football season rears its ugly head, and we're back with UTSA and the Dallas Cowboys and high school ball, and everything is back sooner than later.
So while you were talking right now, Vinny, I checked my cell phone right here, and I did not see you did not PayPal me $1,000 for a ticket. But it's okay. I know it's coming. Soon. So I'm looking forward to that once it gets there. Soon. As in perhaps never. But nevertheless, once again, he is Vinnie Vinzetta, my colleague at Ken's 5 San Antonio. He is a sports reporter. You want to follow him on Twitter at @VVinzetta. By the way, are you on that Threads thing, that Instagram Threads already?
I don't think I am. I got to get on that.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm just trying to help you out there. I thought maybe you're there. I was going to say people follow him on Threads. I mean, there's just so many now.
I'm on Instagram.
Okay, we'll pump that out then. Go ahead.
I think it's at TV Sports Vinny. At TV Sports Vinny. Yep.
I thought it was going to be at Vindog or the dog.
I should consider changing
that. That could be your Threads. That could be your Threads name.
So yeah, I like that. Not Vindog. How about just the dog? I like
the dog. Yeah,
but not DOG. That's
yeah. You got to make it cool like that. Like remember back in the '80s, everything was X.
That's right.
X was like the big name, like this is X Factor or X Force. Exactly. Back in the day,
Yep.
But once again, Vinnie Vinzetta, we thank you for hopping on here on Locked On Spurs, and we thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every single day. Again, we'll come back Monday, likely talk about Wemby's Summer League debut, break it all down. And you guys are the everydayers. We appreciate you coming here on Locked On Spurs. YouTube, Ken's 5 Plus app. Pick a platform. We are everywhere. iTunes, iHeart, seriously everywhere. No excuse for you to not get Locked On Spurs. But for the Vindog, Vinnie Vinzetta, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to go ahead and put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.